Hello, everyone.
Oh, hello.
G'day.
Ready again from home. Everyone here.
Marlon's here.
Marlon,
Hey, Marlon.
welcome, Marlon.
Hello, guys. Welcome to the show.
Welcome to episode number 59, again from home. I think we lost count of the one we did from home, so we carry on with our numbering of episodes. So I think we're probably number 75 or 18 total, but
yeah, so
This is becoming the new norm, isn't it?
That's right. It's
It
the
is
new
indeed.
normal. It is indeed. So, Jason, welcome. So Jason is just joining us. There's a few people, so there you go.
Hello.
So what do we have tonight? We've got a car of the night. We're gonna have some. What else do we have? We have some kits. We have some train. Is there some RC car with Marlon?
Mm-hmm.
And what else do we have? Some models, some mold parts, 3D printed parts, lots of things. So as usual, Brett is showing us the car of the night. So that one in the spotlight.
Oh, yes. Should we start with that? Okay, so the car of the week is being shown.
Mhm.
So what do we need to know? So we need to know the maker, the model, and the color.
And the model? Yeah. The maker,
Yeah.
the model, the colour. Because that's about all I know. So that'll be a good start.
Very good. All right. So, guys on the chat, let's start guessing what car that may be, and then as we go through the night, we'll find out what it is.
Yeah.
Evening, Tony. Tony's joining us here.
Hey, Tony.
Good
All
evening,
right,
Tony.
Right. So, we're also going to talk about some RC stuff, some racing, how to get into racing tonight a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brad's got a car behind him there. I can see that body looks very familiar.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So,
What's in
Where do we
Brett's box will be making a return.
what's in Brad's box is going to make a
What's in
return.
Brett's box?
Very good. I guess if you have any question, put them in the comments. We'll try to respond as we go along. So comments are open. Just feel free to comment there. And who's going to have a start? Is that Brett's box? Step one for tonight?
We can start
have a look
with
at the box.
Brett's box. We can start
All right.
with Brett's box. Well,
Yeah,
let's start with
that's
what's. Do you want to start with what's on Brett's box?
That's it. I think so.
As opposed to what's in it, this is what's on it. Here we have, now, for those of you that don't know, the Victorian 1/10 off-road electric titles, Victorian titles are coming up. They're coming up to Kilo racetrack. So, and this what we have here is a Yokomo SF or SF1, I suppose it's called now because it's SF2. And my son Tristan is going to be racing this in four-wheel drive stock, and we've kindly borrowed it from one of our close friends and Hearns racing team driver Aaron Defina has come to the party there, and yeah, and this car's got a bit of heritage with Hearns, doesn't it, Nick?
That very much so. That was Rob's car. So for those that have been following us for the last, 4 or 5 years, Rob was with us for probably a good 4 years, and he was racing this car. So he painted his body, and there's some really, really good memories for myself, and I guess for many of us racing in Victoria and in Australia. So Rob painted that body himself.
And it's quite impressive too, isn't it? Let's just
very,
have a
very
look at
nice
that.
job.
Yeah, it's a good job.
Absolutely.
That is a quality job. I don't know, you probably can't see it all in this little camera, but it's really nice work is done there.
That's all hand cut, isn't it?
That was
looks
all
like
hand cut. Yeah,
That looks very much hand cut liquid mask.
that's right.
Yeah, good
this
work.
is actually, as Ian suggested in the comments, is actually the car that Rob used when he won the invitational race.
Yes, this is the very car. And in fact, I was told tonight, I think it was the last time that it was actually raced competitively.
Yes,
Right.
You know, Aaron's known to collecting and hoarding stuff, or shall we say, doing a hell of a lot of bench racing, and probably not as much track time as he'd wish. So this one hasn't actually raced competitive, I don't think, since then.
Probably not.
But
But
So,
this body
the
Yeah,
cars have
always make a
evolved a
rub.
little bit since then. This one here has got a doesn't even have a slipper. It's got a direct drive spur gear. It's getting really hard to get in focus here. So
You
obviously
go
it's
faster
a
that way.
four-wheel drive design. Yeah, Yokomo SF1, 13.5 turn motor in here. It's got an Orca Blitzstream. We've got a Orca Shorty battery. And the servo, I believe, is a highest. Yeah, it's a highest 750 servo in there too. So all quite top quality gear.
Absolutely.
Good stuff.
So looking forward to getting this out on track. Young Tristan's going to give it a good run in four-wheel drive. And yeah, see what we can do with this old girl.
That's good. That's it's going to bring back good memories. It's going to be a very good opportunity to go racing. Actually, I was meant to go race this one. It's pretty much the same car that Brad was showing, just a slightly updated version this weekend. But obviously, it's being called off, so we're going to have a bit more time for cleaning and fixing and improving and working on cars this weekend.
Yeah, well, what you've got there is the YZ4 SF2, isn't it?
That's correct.
Which
Yeah,
is
so that's
the latest
FF2.
incarnation.
That's it. It looks, very, very similar. There's some minor differences and updates and so forth, but they're both really competitive. I mean, I've been racing Yokomo myself before, even before having Hearns published. So I'm really passionate about the brand. So the B-Max was a very, very competitive car, which I actually have one somewhere up here. And then this is probably the evolution of the B-Max in a bit more of a modern kind of take. But yeah, very nice car. This one has got a center diff, where the Bratz one has a fully locked slipper clutch. I think the Zerk at the time was doing the lockable center kind of spool, if you want to call it. And so I remember back with Rob, we were racing super locked, very aggressive kind of setup.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, it's looking good. So that's what's on my box. Let's have a look what's in there.
I got something in there as well.
There's something in the box.
Oh.
This is my TICS race development boxes, as you can see here, my race boxes. So we're going to talk a little about getting into racing. So you can see here, what I've got in this box is some of the things that we'll use to go racing. Because the cars, they do come as a kit. And assemble them effectively as a roller or a slider. So one of the first things that you'll need would be a steering servo. This one here is a DLP 700, so it's actually the same one that's in Aaron's car, and that's it's a plastic case, metal heatsink, metal gears, full metal drivetrain, very high quality. It's got 14 kilos of torque and a transit time of 0.08 of a second. And that relates from the 60-degree transit time from center to 60 degrees throw. Most servos are measured in that. So it'll do that transit time in 0.08. So almost as fast as the blink of an eye. Yeah, steering servos. What servo have you got?
Definitely, very important component in the steering servo. So never, put in a cheap servo. You're gonna regret it over time. Really, it's important because that's what controls your car. Really, so servos very important.
And another part that's often not very much not overlooked but very talked about are the motors. Of course, now the motors are predominantly brushless, and they're sensor type. You would call that the industry standard or the racing standard now. And the main thing that varies across the motors is the windings, and that's how the classes are segregated, if you will, and that's what stipulates the classes of stock and modified. If it's on road, then you'll have an additional class of 21.5. So yeah, this one here is a 13.5 dash motor, beautifully presented two-stage anodize. yeah, fully tunable and adjustable timing on the back. We can see there that the little sensor port goes in. You've got your 3 big connections here, your 3-phase, it's a 3-phase AC motor. Yeah, and that's where obviously all your power and torque comes from.
That's it.
The next thing after you build your kit that you'll probably be looking at is your speed controller. Now this does exactly what it says in the job title. It controls the speed. So the input from your trigger or your transmitter, that gets relayed to your motor via the speed controller. Now that has a huge effect on not just the flat out outright performance, but more so on your feel and your braking capabilities and that sort of thing. So it's important to have a decent high quality one that's not going to get too hot, give you all the performance and features that you need. And here we have an Orca OE 101.
Really small.
Very small.
How tiny small it is, yeah. And this is perfect down to 10.5, and it will do turbo and boost functions as well for certain modified or 13.5 boosted applications.
So neat.
Very nice.
It is
very,
so
very
neat. Top quality. And the last thing in Brett's box is, I suppose it's substantially bigger than the speed controller, is actually the speed controller program box. Yeah. So, and this will allow you to, yeah, very important, because you plug this in. It's almost like a personal dedicated laptop, which is designed just for your individual speed controller or your family of speed controllers. So this will fit a lot of Orca ones. Yeah. So that just plugs in, and you can change and tune all your parameters and driving preferences to suit what makes you comfortable and help you go fastest around the track.
Well, that's like the engine management system, isn't it?
Very much like the engine management system in your car, yeah.
Absolutely. That's brilliant. So I guess, when you go racing, there's a few things you need to look at. So we are going to, as Brett suggested, there's quite a few critical components. And again, you can find all sorts of different variations and types. So I guess in our channel on YouTube, you can find some of the videos that Brett started doing to explain the basics, really, just to start understanding what a servo maybe doing, speed and torque. Sometimes it's rather overwhelming, really, but it can be simplified quite considerably, as we said. So we'll have a few running packages as well for the racing cars to get started racing. So Brett was working just today on those.
Yeah, we're going to actually do them as collections on the website to take some of the heartache and simplify the purchase, process, I suppose,
Yes.
and the buyer confidence, because like Nick said, it's quite overwhelming for somebody who's just been to the track and then wants to go out and start racing. There's no point in spending $400 worth of gear and stuff, because it just won't be up to the job. You have to buy racing stuff to do the racing job. So yeah,
I guess is funny, that middle ground, which is not the top of the range, because that's often enough not needed, really. I mean, it's needed if you wish, but there's something in between that is often good enough to make sure that you actually have a good experience. Having the gear that is not suited for the application, you're not going to have the best experience. You may end up being disappointed as such. So finding that middle ground is a key point.
Absolutely.
And Ian is actually suggesting that Yokomo has in fact just released a YZ4 ready to run, which is a entry-level 2-wheel drive, fully assembled, ready to go.
They have, haven't they? And we spoke about that today.
That's right.
Absolutely.
It's really fantastic in concept and design, and I'm sure it's a fantastic product. But unfortunately for Australian racing conditions, we don't really race with brushed motors. So
That's right.
even at a novice class or our entry-level class, we always use brushless motors and applicable ESCs. So it's not necessarily any more expensive than the brushed variants, but this product by Yokomo may or may not suit our racing environment here in Australia, which is
Agreed.
why we're going to put together these collections. We think at Hearns that we can do just as good a job as Yokomo as putting a package together, apart from assembling it, of course, putting a package together for people to go racing.
Yeah,
And
more for
I
local
agree.
and ruling.
Absolutely. And most importantly, I think the critical part when you go racing is learning how to build your car and how to maintain it. If you don't build it, you're never going to learn how it's actually made. So when you're at the track and something doesn't quite work, and you really need to know how it's made. So building the kit, first of all, is the most exciting part, I guess. It's fun, but it's critical to actually know how to set up the car. If something doesn't work, where to look at. If you break a part, what to replace. What's connected to what. So building takes a bit of time, a bit of experience, lots of patience, but definitely an important component of the racing, actually.
Yeah, and most of the guys that race, I mean, that's their absolute favorite part, is either building on it or working on it and making it better and having that sense of achievement.
Absolutely.
So, and if you don't want to do that, then there's bashers. There's plenty of open box, ready to run cars available.
Absolutely. And some entry level bashers, like the two-wheel drive, buggy could be okay for an entry, for a novice class if you want to have a go. They cost a couple of $100. You can go to a racetrack for the first couple of times just to have a feel on what you may like or may not like. But as you evolve after that, even as a good second-hand roller could be a good option to start. Without breaking the bank, that's a really good way to pick up a car from someone who has been racing in a higher level and they want to refresh the car. That's very common. That every 6 or 12 months, some of us tend to replace the cars and then sell the the older one for a lesser price, and so you get a really good quality car for I guess a slightly lesser cost.
Absolutely.
Well.
Anyway, I feel like I'm hogging the show. Somebody else have a go.
Right. Okay. So let's put everyone back on screen. So
what have we got?
What do we have? Marlon, what do you have for us tonight?
I got all sorts of things, but that was really informative. I really enjoyed hearing about what you need to get going with beginning to race, and the emphasis that you need to have the right tools for the right job. So I'll talk about some tools for model railroading now. So
good.
I'll just show you guys if I can get it in the camera. I've got these N-scale model railway carriages that I've picked up just recently. Micro trains, quite lovely. So they have a really unique coupling system, if you guys aren't familiar with how model trains work. So these are knuckle couplers. They're made by a company called Microtrain. So they make the couplers and these particular freight wagons as well. But they are an awful lot like how the real couplers work on a real train. So they have a really unique feature in that they can be activated, or I should say disengaged with magnets, and that is achieved using this little wire pin that you can see. It's called a trip pin. So when two of these wagons are hooked together and they pass over a magnet, and then the tensions release between the two carriages, it will actually automatically disengage. And in order for that to work well and reliably, they need to be properly adjusted. So there's a few tools, and we've got some really great things here from Microtrains, a company that is the leader in this sort of thing. This is a height gauge. I'll just open this up real quick. Basically, this sort of sets the template for your height adjustment for your couplers, and it's a nice solid cast piece of metal. It's taped in there really good. You can can see this has a coupler attached to it already. And once you put this on the track, sort of has these ridges that allow you to put it on top of the rails. And this sort of gives you the exact height that you need to line your couplers.
Well, it makes sense because sometimes it's quite hard to line them up completely, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, even a fraction of a millimeter, you know, can result in unreliable uncoupling or carriages that don't uncouple at all. So it's nice to have something that's like a baseline for proper adjustment, and it works a lot better than, like, say, using, you know, various carriages against each other. Eventually, you lose track of what the correct height actually is. So this would just sit along the track, and then you can use that as a guide. It's really cool. And then there's also included in here, which is nice. I didn't know they actually did include it. Is the trip height gauge. So it's a plate of steel. I'm going to say it's not much more than a millimeter thick or a fraction of a millimeter thick. And this sits on top of the rails, and this helps to determine what the height of this the little tripwire I was talking about earlier. I'm putting my hand here so you can kind of see it. It's very small. This
Very fine.
allows you to know, yeah, what the correct height is for that trip gauge. Because what can happen is if these things hang too low, they can make contact with high spots on the track, like in the middle of the track, like, say, a railway crossing or points. And if these get caught up, it can cause a derailment, or it can cause damage to the coupler. So these tools are really useful in terms of making sure these things are at their proper adjustment level. Another really cool feature that's great with magnetic uncouplers is these Rix uncoupling tools, designed specifically for N scale. And it's like a little skewer. You get two in a pack, which is cool. It's got this barbed end, and I'll just see if I can demonstrate. So I've got these two carriages connected together, very snug. So you put this between the two coupler knuckles, and you twist it, and then that uncouples them.
It's like magic.
Yeah, if you're not using a magnet and you want to, say, spot a car on a siding and you want to spot it in a specific spot, it's a really nice feature to have, because there's no real easy way to disengage these unless you lift one up off of the track. If you want to keep it on the track, just put this right between, and done. Nice and simple.
Wow.
So it's a really cool little,
That's
humble
brilliant.
tool, but very useful.
I like the retro packaging as well.
Yeah, Microtrains, and also KD, if you've heard of KD, they've been around for a very long time. They were actually one company, and then they split, run by two brothers, and one went the route with N gauge, and the other one went the route with the larger HO gauge with the KD brand. So they've been producing. I think the patent for most of these has been around for a very long time, and it's been the golden standard for how how coupling systems work for particularly Australian and American rolling stock and trains for a very long time, and they maintain that standard really well. Another few cool things that I've picked up recently for my model railway layout that I'm working on are these really cool laser cut wood kits from Blair Line. I've got a scene where I've got a loading dock, what they call a team track. Team tracks used to exist in small towns where multiple industries would unload from one particular spot. It's like a shared unloading zone. And this really cool etched wood kit allows you to build your own. It was very small, being N scale. That's 1:160 is the scale if you guys are interested.
It's really fine detail. It's very, very clean laser cutting.
It is, yeah. There's even like holes where the screws would be on the planks, and they're all uneven lengths, which is really nice. So once this is put together and weathered with some washes and some powders, it's going to look a lot like what you see on the picture, and that will be a nice spot to lay out for spotting a car to be unloaded. And then I've also got this extension as well. So you can see on the picture below, there's different ways you can arrange that, which is really cool. I'm just gonna make it a super long one so you can spot several cars at once. So I love little details like that.
So I guess this is a modular type system, isn't it? You can join as many as you want together to a degree.
That's it. Yeah, they give you a lot of flexibility. You can make it like a super long one, so you have a spot where you can run multiple carriages, or you can put the emphasis on truck unloading. So it's cool to have that flexibility, and it's a really neat little set. So yeah, that's a good look at some of the things I've got from Model Railways. I've also caught the RC bug a little bit, which has been a great deal of fun for me. Which has been it's a relatively new hobby for me. I've always had an interest, but I'll show you guys a few of the things I've been working on. The very first one is this is the first car I've actually completed, and I'm sure one of you would know exactly what this is.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, so this is
that's a big custom.
So it's yeah, the old classic. If anyone in the comments could tell me what this is.
It's not usually blue, is it? Well, the box art's not blue.
That's usually. Right, but that blue is phenomenal.
Isn't it? Did you airbrush it or spray can or?
I used the Tamiya, the PS rattle cans.
Yeah.
So it was the light blue, the white, and the black. So it's like a tricolor scheme. So Tamiya Hornet. So this is a re-release of a design from 1984, and this was probably one of the best-selling cars of that era. And that's it. Yep.
That's
nice.
There you go.
Your favorite color, isn't it?
Indeed.
I do love the look of the original Hornet, but I just decided that I'd like to sort of do my own interpretation of it, and I went with this sort of retro 1970s, 1980s paint scheme, and I got these custom decals, produced for me, and I've just put them all over the car. The only one that I've actually used that's from the original kit is the Hornet, the very top of the spoiler, which is ordinarily on the back, but now it's Goodyear. So I've
cool.
I only have one more finishing touch left, and it's currently on a stick right now.
Have you played with the Hornet yet, Marlon?
I have played with it. So here's the driver. Any of these old
He's
been impaled on a spear.
Anyone who's playing these old Tamiya kits knows this face, and now
classic.
He's just a shape of F15 flat blue. I saw Anthony was saying in the comments that spoiler won't last long. I have heard that the spoilers on these things get ripped off really, really easily. So we'll see what happens with this. But I did give it a bash around the backyard, and I had so much fun. Not to be too heavy on it until I've completely finished it and get some really nice pictures taken of it, because these aren't going to be shelf queens. I want to really drive the heck out of them and have fun.
Good to hear. Good
and
stuff.
then I got another classic Tamiya. I'm sure you guys probably will recognize this one.
It's my specialty.
So beautiful. I absolutely love these. So yeah, I got the lunchbox here. Factory build. I'm going to do a custom paint scheme, but I really like the yellow. I sort of wanted to have something that sort of had the spirit of the original, sort of a bit of my own take on it. So I'll have some retro stripes on it. So the paint, I actually did airbrush this. It took a very long time because these are 1/12 scale, and they're really, really big.
Yeah, chunky.
With a 0.03 millimeter nozzle on your airbrush, it takes a long time to get a lot of coverage on this. But it's actually SMS Paints Blue Angels Yellow, which I thought was a really close match for the yellow that the plastic wheels are molded in.
That's good. I mean, yellow is one of those colors that's always really difficult to cover.
There's so many shades of yellow. It's amazing. But this sort of has a bit of it's hard to pull lights, but it sort of has a bit of an orange tint to it. It's not really like a really washed out yellow, but this is, with the exception of sort of like the paint and decals, this is pretty much done, but I have not fired it up yet. But between this and the Hornet, I'm really, really excited to get these finished within the next week or so, and then when we're all free again, head out to the park down the road and just have a
Yeah.
What
Cool.
about the Velodrome, Marlon?
I don't really know if these cars are best suited for that high-speed banked oval, but you know what, we could give it a go, and who knows? Everybody loves an underdog story, right? So
Yeah. You just give it a go.
That's it.
Yeah.
But the build is really fun. A lot of you guys look like you've had an experience with these cars over the years in the comments, and all of you guys here. But if you haven't built an old Tamiya car, I really recommend it. It's really fun. Build always goes together really nice. And as someone who's built static models my whole life so far, it's sort of nice to sort of transfer a lot of those skills and ideas into something that's kinetic and that you can control yourself. So at the rate I'm going, I'm probably going to end up getting involved in racing before too long. And it's just fun.
Good.
Got the bullet.
Good plan. Woohoo.
Well,
There's always a car for you, Marlon.
I'm sure there is,
That's
or
good.
2 or 3 or 4. We'll see. But I haven't done a static model for a while, but I did pull something out of the little stash that I've got.
Have you got a box too, Marlon?
Oh, I do have a box.
Yes.
What's in my
Marlin
box?
box.
Dealing with thunder.
I think it's upside down, but it's an
Oh,
old AMT re-release. So a company called Round 2 owns a lot of the old molds for a lot of these kits that came out in the 1960s and 1970s when the old classic car model kits were sort of at their peak popularity, which is really cool because it gives you a chance to experience these builds as if you were like living 40 or 50 years ago. It's an old Volkswagen Beetle chassis-based Meyer Manx, and it's 1/24 scale. And given how small these things are, it's not a particularly big chassis or body. And this is just the body so far that I've had cut off the part runners. And I thought I had
cool.
but I was gonna paint it. I was doing it's a SMS airbrush. Yeah, the box art is great. I think that's what sucks me in to these cars more than anything.
Yeah.
The quality of the molding on these older kits is definitely not to the same level as what the newer releases are, but I just get sucked in by the whole nostalgia vibe that these kits give off, and they always have models of cars that are almost forgotten in a way. So it's a real blast from the past. But I'm gonna do some work with some SMS airbrush ready color shift paints. I'm gonna be acid rain, so it's like a blue green metallic, and it will sort of have that. When these things were built, they had like a nice metallic metal flake fiberglass finish that you could get. And I wanted to see if I could replicate that and make it look as retro as possible. So, a few things on the bench, but having a lot of fun.
Good.
That's cool. Good stuff.
That's brilliant. Brilliant. Very good, very good. So let's see if you can start guessing this car. Brett, show us the car again. There we go.
There we go.
So someone suggested that could be a green Dodge.
Maybe.
It could be a green Dodge, but we want more than that
Yeah. You need a few more details regarding the model, yeah?
because it is a very bespoke sort of model. Yeah, model. So Dodge,
Charger.
yes. Dodge, yes. Challenger, yes.
Hellcat.
Jeez. Hellcat, yes. Hellcat, yes. What else have we got?
It's got a big black stripe.
It's called something else as well.
There's 3 letters involved, aren't there?
Yeah, and maybe something like a really like a long overnight flight.
Long overnight flight.
What's that called?
Oh, here we go.
Gonna give it away.
Oh!
the Hellcat Red Eye.
Oh,
The SRT Red Eye.
there you go.
There you
There's
go.
only one detail left, and that's the colour. Now, this is
That is
a
a very
scale
special
colour.
color, isn't it?
Teamwork going
So
on there.
this is a scale colour, so it is a production colour. Can anybody give me the colour? Being a Dodge, they have pretty out there. I think the grey one's called Destroyer Grey. So what do they think the green one could be called?
Let's see. So the colors is the only thing left to guess. So let's see if we can guess the color.
Just the colour?
That's it.
Maybe
So-
maybe
Helmet green.
I like
Kermit
that.
Green.
I think that's what they should call it.
It's not easy being Kermit Green.
Here we
I'm
go.
sure somebody will Google it.
There's
in the
Kermit
meantime-
and these.
It's not green.
Is there something
it.
on my nose? Not even snot green. Come on.
I'd see a doctor. if that's-
People
Yeah.
who know me know I have a bit of an affliction with green.
Really? Well,
Come on, Beach, what have you got?
What have I got? Oh, I've got a few things. What should we look at? How about, since we're talking about a lot about cars,
Ian Murray has
look at
nailed
something-
it.
Huh?
Ian Murray.
Ian, here we go.
How about this? A Sublime green.
Sublime green from Ian Murray.
Ah, very well done.
More on this
Mhm.
after you've shown what's in there.
Well, this is Samurai. So
That's
this is a
not the
plastic
girl that
kit.
was driving my 8-scale car today, was she?
Hey?
That's not the girl that was driving around in my 8-scale car.
Oh,
No,
no.
that one.
If you call this guy a girl, you'll have your head chopped off.
Yeah?
Yep. So this is Samurai from a company called Seata. Because Seata is quite a new brand. So I think it's part of a family of companies which is part of the Rifle Take-On group. But they're concentrating on some really oddball was the subject. So you've got this, I guess, a historical type figure. There's Ninja in the same series. There's also some oddball science fiction type kits, and also we've got the World War One, the Fokker 301, which is in a sort of comical look. This is quite interesting because these are like 24 scale, so small figures. So it'll probably be about this sort of size, but there's two inside the box. So let's have a look. It's going to be hard to show you all the bits and pieces because it's all in one bag. Let's see, you'll probably be able to see the lighter color ones there. There they are. The camera's focusing on those bits now. So you see that there's various components for the limbs. So you've got the forearms, you've got the parts for the legs. So these are fully articulated when you put them together. So it'd be like an action figure, just really small, you know, so imagine again this sort of size. So they're going to be about 90 mil. But they've got all the different armor. So that's the armor parts there, in black. Then in the front, you can see the weaponry too. So they've got the old rifles, the arquebuses. So yeah, so two figures. That's really quite interesting. And then got a little booklet there. So pretty simple instruction, pretty straightforward to put together. So that's something a bit different. So I thought that was really interesting. Now, apart from that, I've still been working on this AFV Club armored personnel carrier. So this is basically where I'm up to now. Okay, so I've got it in a sub-assembly stage. I've just built the 50 caliber machine gun. So let's just cover my face there. So there's that one there. So it's going to be in the turret in there. So basically I've got it in these little bits and pieces. I like to build it up as much as I can before painting because that way you've got plastic to plastic, you've got the best strength. Okay, so I've got multiple bits coming off. And then I've got these sections here that lift off as well. Okay, so here there's a little bit of internal detail. So the driver's compartment. And then last week I showed off the magnets from Green Stuff World. So there's a magnet in the back here as well. So let's see how the hatch opens up, like so, and then we'll just close it up and the magnet holds it in place.
Whoa.
That's pretty much where I'm up to now. So I've got all the hinders working.
Wow.
And then later we'll be working on the wheels and the caterpillar tracks. And then we'll get into painting. So we'll show you a bit of a progress shot of that as I get through it. So as I've been building that, I've discovered that one of my newfound favorite tools is this thing.
Oh.
What kind of box is that?
I've got a special box though. This is BJ's box, right? Now, this is a God hand work box. Okay, so on the front here, you've got a Fresnel lens. So you might be able to see there. So nice and flat, so you can see closely what you're doing. The best thing about this is I've had this for a little bit, and I don't use it that often, but I've found I need to use it more often because as I was building that APC, it's got such small bits that I keep losing them in the carpet. And what do you do when you lose them in the carpet? You've got to scratch build new bits. And then I started using this because as you're working in it, so basically you've got it there and you've got your two hands working in here. If you cut something off and it bounces off, then it's just going to hit here and just land back in the bottom. And just to retrieve it, you just pull out the little slide and you just pick it up and just push it back. So such a simple little box like this has actually given me a lot less stress after building a couple of bits by scratch. So the God hand workbox, really handy. I think this would be really good with RC as well, particularly with E-clips, because in the old days I used to stick my hands in a bag for E-clips, so it'll bounce off the ends of the bag. But this thing, it's a lot easier to see. I mean, it's got little openings there, of course, for your hands, but for anything to fly out, it's not going to go very far because it'll flick out and then drop on the sides. But most of the time, it's just going to stay within here, and it's really easy to see because it's just perfectly clear. So that's my new best friend.
We actually have a question, Beach.
Yeah, so like that. Oh.
So can you read it from your side?
The screws are painted. How do you carefully cut them off? Oh, that's a hard bit because you see how I built this. I generally don't paint anything on the sprue. I like to cut all the bits off first, then cut off all the dags and sand it clean, and that way I can make sure everything fits perfectly too. So I do the test fit. And then after that's done, then I start painting all the stuff. If there's really fine details, even those I'll cut off the sprue. Like even this bit of spare track. Oh, I'll cut that off. And all that's been scraped back on the sides. And give this a little bit more detail. I've even drilled out where the track pins would be on the sides. Some really fine drill bits. You can see that. So if you do have painted bits already on a sprue, all you can really do is cut the bits off, clean up the little nub, and then you have to repaint over it. That's the only way you'll be able to do that, unfortunately. Yeah, the only problem is if you keep them on the sprue, it's a lot safer because everything stays put on the sprue until you need them. But the issues, which is great, but as you'll find out as you paint it, you'll have that bit that you can't get to, which is on the nub. The problem with cutting it off the sprue is there's a chance you're going to lose it. So I always use a small old sauce, sort of take away sauce container with a lid. So I'll put all the small bits in there before I really need them. So I keep them all together. So that's what I do.
Very good.
So I've got other stuff. Or does anyone else want to have a bit of a talk? Because there's quite a bit of news. There's new Tamiya news.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So what do we have? Let me see if I can perhaps share one on my window. But you guys, let me see. It's maybe a bit complicated. Let me see if I can actually
we can just
do
talk
that.
about it, I guess, and we can't get the
You can
images.
start talking about it.
So what's the most exciting thing about the new Tamiya stuff? It's got to be the RC cars, yeah?
Well,
Can you see
I'm
this one?
biased, but it's definitely the RC car stuff.
You're biased, you're not biased.
That other stuff you were showing me today, BJ, did nothing.
I shouldn't have shown you. Which shot? What?
But what was that car? The Blockhead? What was it?
Blockhead. So the Wild one.
Oh,
So there's a re-release of the Wild one coming. So
45th anniversary.
Yeah, so it's coming up the 45th anniversary from what I can tell from when Tamiya started making RC cars as kits.
Mhm.
So we've got the Blockhead Motors version of the Wild one. So Blockhead is a company which is being created by Jun Watanabe. So he's a designer that he designs all sorts of things actually. But he does have this company which makes aftermarket parts specifically for vintage Tamiya. And he's done a frog before. I think it was what was it? Was it white with polka dots all over it, black polka dots, which is incredibly rare now. And so this is the next incarnation. So this is all due in around about November. It's got this really nice blue paint scheme with retro stickers, very similar to what Marlon's done on his Hornet. But it's got additional sort of number plates at the back of the roll cage as well. So that's something to look out for. And then, was it a Hornet, was it? The Watanabe one. So, and then what else is there? There's a Porsche.
Porsche. Italian Porsche, based on the TAO2W.
That's right. So the TAO2, which is a classic touring car chassis, a W being for wide because the rear end is quite wider. And then it's going to have the white liveried Valiant scheme.
Which is a 930 Porsche.
934.
Is it 930? It's a classic sort of air-cooled.
Yeah, very nice. So that's coming out in November as well. So you'll be able to see those on the link that's just been posted up there. Let's see, what else is there? We've got some plastic kits coming up. So there's the quite a few items in 48 scale for military. The Nashorn, which is the mobile artillery. There's also some German figurines to go with that in 48 scale. In 35th scale, there's a nice Jeep, which has been done in late European setup, which has a couple of British figurines with that, I think. What else is there?
Jerrycans and some figurines, yeah.
Yes. And then the other great release that's coming out is the F14A Tomcat. So that in itself isn't new. It's 48 scale, but it's going to be coming complete with a carrier deck with a figure, so a deck figure, which is going to be really great.
What figure? What figure?
What'd you say?
What figure?
What figure? A deck figure.
Oh, deck figure. Right, sorry.
Yeah, don't get too excited. So yeah, that looks really good. So if you can imagine the flight deck with the aircraft on the top, and then you've got the rear. What is that? I guess it's a wall that comes. I don't know what you call them. Yeah. And then there's a figure on the front where he's got his finger out the front. So it's got the real Tom. What is it? Top Gun look. When they show all the carrier deck scenes at the start. So that's going to be quite fantastic when it comes out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's the latest news from Tamiya.
I think so. I guess we could say that for these Tamiya RC cars, we are not going to probably take pre-orders at this stage. But what we're going to do, we're going to release the information how to obtain them once we actually know how many we are going to get. And we're going to do this through newsletters. So for anyone who is actually interested in securing one, make sure you sign up to our newsletter. And as we get closer, we will give you instructions on how to get one. So in the last few deliveries, the Egress and the Top 4 specifically, we were so undersupplied that we think it's best if we leave it till when we actually know how many we can source, and then we will start taking pre-orders or organizing sales accordingly to that. So make sure you join up the newsletter, as I think they will sell out even before they get to the store once those sign up to the newsletter get to know how to secure one.
Mm.
So, for sure.
We'll see. We are hoping that by November, Tamiya is going to have a bit more production capacity, but at this point, it's still very unclear if that will be the case.
All right, what should we move on to? We're going to remember about Velodrome, yeah? Oh, haven't we got
Velodrome.
Velodrome?
A man after my own heart.
So velodrome is coming up. We briefly touched on last week actually, and Brett is preparing his buggy. Like put on the big screen.
Have a look what we've got.
Okay,
Oh,
put Brett first. Look at that.
look at that.
This gigantic sweep on the buggy.
That's gangster, mate.
That is OG.
And then right, so then BJ has is
That looks the business,
that's the
doesn't it?
AE. It was an AE, wasn't it, BJ?
Yep. So this is built from AE parts. So this is actually built by Adam Truen. So many years ago. So I've been holding on to it all this time. So this is a body I painted a very long time ago. And so it's a temp scale touring car. It's been trimmed down, so it's very low. And then we've got the open back end to allow all the air to escape. Cut down rear wing. Still got the side plates on it though for stability. And this one's been modified so that it's got the gearbox housings of a TC3 from Associated. Big carbon 2mm sheet there. Bit of ground effects on the rear tunnel.
Big
But you'll notice
diffuser.
there's no drive shafts in the rear because this is front-wheel drive. So you see there's a motor that sits in here. So you see where the heatsink is. So it's going to be offset. And then there's heaps of room for putting as many batteries as you want. So this was back in the brush days. But you can imagine if we put a brushless in it. I'm a bit scared to use this actually because it's got a bit of sentimental value. But you can see it has been used. So there's all the scratch marks on it.
Are you going to use it, Beach?
Sorry? Am I going to use it?
This is.
No, I'm going to rebuild my short course, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll get that going.
So.
But I mean, got something else as well.
So meanwhile, someone was commenting that the big wheels are going to destroy your diffs. But I think we're going to put some heavy diff oil. Oh wow, Beach, what's that?
What
So
the
this
hell
is
is that,
pizza.
BJ?
This is a pizza car I made a long time ago. Okay, so this is an old GV Victor Bray body. The Victor Brays were actually a fuel powered car back in the day. And then I've got that body and I've popped it on a modified rail dragster chassis. And that was also gas powered, so it's been modified to be electric. So in my wisdom, let's just pull out all these clips. There you go. So what I did was the rear end from this point has actually been cut, and this came off a GV electric touring car, and that was screwed onto the aluminium chassis of the gas-powered dragster chassis. Okay, so you see the really narrow O-ring type front wheels. Then I put on a pretty massive pinion, if you can see there. You'll probably get it going a lot faster because this is, what did I pop in here? Oh, it's got a 3.5 turn on 2 cells. So 3.5 turn on 2 cells, we've got this up to just over 100 kilometers an hour. But if we tried playing around with this with, I guess, 3 cell with a lower KV motor, we'll probably be able to get this going even better. The other problem is going to be the traction part of it. So it's got some fat foamies on it. Just got to be careful when you put on the power, but I guess if you got it geared right, you shouldn't wheel spin it. But yeah, so this is a bit of a relic as well.
Beautiful. I guess tires are really important. You know, last time you had problems with your tires because they're a bit too hard and they're taking way too long to warm up, really. So
yes.
This year we kind of worked on that. So we have some GRPs, and so we had different compounds, and we tried some different ones, and they take a lot less to warm up, really. So, you know, specifically for lighter cars like yours, the softer
Yep.
compounds are probably going to be a winner, really.
Yep, for sure.
We'll
Yeah, so
have
make
some
sure you
tire-
start getting
we'll
your.
have some tire warmers this year too, won't we?
We're going to
Oh,
have
yes.
traction compound and
Yes.
tire warmers, I guess. So
PDK
we're going to go all the way.
Yep.
Have you got your belts there?
I'd have to do a quick studio run, but yes, I've definitely got my belts there.
So very, very important, obviously. If you can warm up your tires, you're going to be, gripping up really, really quick, and that makes a difference with these cars. Once you start going over, your 100 kilometers an hour, it's the softness and the grip you get out of the tires is fundamental. Generally speaking, the velodrome would take a couple of laps to get up to temperature, but some of the lighter cars, they will struggle a lot more to get to get the traction up, really. And the reason we use really hard tires is because reaching these speeds, you need to have that kind of really harder compound. And what Brett is showing now are these we call them belts, so the tire warmers, very much like in Formula One, and they get wrapped around the tires. And you connect them to the control base, the small unit, and off you go. You warm up your tires at whichever temperature you want. You can control each individual one of the four corners of your car. So perhaps when you go in the oval, you want to have the internal ones hotter than the external one because they will be working, a bit less. And here we go. Let me put in a bigger screen. Here we go. Brilliant. Look at that.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference, doesn't it?
Huge difference, yeah.
I know we'll get up to, as high as I think 85 degrees. Not that we'd probably set them for that during the day, but yeah, I think 60 degrees would be more than ample, and they have a little control box and everything. And we have my favorite drink.
That's it. I was going to say the TDK.
Does amazing things to your lap times.
Indeed.
I'm just trying to find the details for the velodrome again. So the velodrome is on the 11th of September.
11th.
Yeah. So it's come by pretty quick.
Just a month away.
Yes.
It's going to come a lot faster than we think.
Indeed.
I've got the tyres screwed on. All we got to do is bolt on the biggest pinion that we can fit, and we are right to go.
Absolutely. Ooh. Very good.
Well, I got one more thing here. Does anyone want to look at this?
Yes, let's have a look at that one.
So this is a fresh kit from Tamiya, all brand new tooling.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a 24 scale version of the 240ZG. So Tamiya had already made a 12 scale version of the 240ZG many, many years ago, and that's since been very, very hard to find. So they've newly tooled a 24 scale one. Very, very nice. So the ZG is the US version of the 240Z. Biggest difference being the rubber bumpers. And this has also got full engine detail too. So that's it there, the bonnet that comes up. So let's have a quick look inside. Just open this up. I love Tamiya car kits. They always have a very specific way they go together, and they're always very well engineered. So these are 24 scale. So the bodywork, they're always very nicely molded, and you see how the design is. So you've got the protection on the front. You've got this strut here, which protects all this section while it's in transit. This will be cut off, and then the bonnet will put it into place. Now, I was surprised when I saw one of these in real life because these things are actually really tiny. Really compact little sports car. It's easy bodywork. Put a lot of nice clear parts. Okay, so you get your windscreen here, rear screen, hatch screen, I should say, the side windows. They've got this all sort of split up a bit now because sometimes they have these all in one piece and they don't quite match up to the body very well because of shrinkage. So now they've got those all separate with locating pins. You've got the lenses here for your headlights and for your tail lights there, and then you've got your headlight covers there. Super clear. Okay, so that's those bits. Now this is a nice touch. Now you have to have really nice tooling to be able to do this. So you've actually got a chromed window surround. And from what I can tell, they've been designed so that they're undergated, so that when you cut them off, you're not going to get any damage to the actual chrome work. That's very clever, and particularly fine around here, around the actual headlights as well. Okay, here you've got some little parts. These are all engine components. Okay, engine components, and you've got your wheel covers, your bumpers. So you can see the engine halves here, the crank and the gearbox. You've got the radiator across here. All the fan and the belts, they all look really crisp. Okay, let's get there. Here you got some more chrome. Again, the chrome is super nice. See how smooth and reflective that is. That the modern chrome is so much better than all the old type of chromes. Okay, so you got your wheels, and then you've got the tail lights. Okay, and then from there you've got a sheet of black bits. Okay, so they're mainly the interior. You've got the tub there for the interior. You got your door interiors. Then you've got suspension components here, drive shafts, shocks, exhaust system. And then you've got the main wheel sections here, which the chrome will fit into. Got a set of rubber tires. Okay, so they're all going to have the tread patterns on them as well. They're really nice. Yep. And then got a set of bits here. So you got your floor pan here. You got your bonnet, your hatch. Okay, so all these components are all going to be moving. And then you've got your seats, multi-piece. Got your spare tire bucket. And then sway bar here, bits and pieces. Okay. Then from there, there's a small packet of decals. So they're really super nice too. So the ones on the front there, these are chromed decals. So they're actually, these are actually metal transfers. So they're photo etched, chromed, and then they've got a self-adhesive backing. And then there's some decals in the back there which you won't be able to see. So they're for the instrument panel and such. And then they all come in these little leaflets now. So you've got something like this, which is, they put them in all their kits. It's a little hints for leaflet. And then you've got this one here, which is actually all about the car itself. And then there's a manual. And the manual's quite thick. So, really nice.
What year was the car, Beach?
What year's the car? I don't know. How about I look up the information that's been provided?
Sorry.
So, what's this? 1969?
That's it.
It looks like it was in production in 69 to 78. That's a long...
Being a California car, it's probably one of the first unleadeds.
Oh, this, you reckon?
Hmm.
So that early 78?
Marlon would know more about that.
Who would? Marlon?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think unleaded fuel came in the U.S. in 1975, and that was pretty much mandated because of the catalytic converter requirement. Because you can't run a petrol car with a catalytic converter; it ruins it. So,
right. Well, there you go. So there you go. So that's a 240 ZG. Really nice. I've seen quite a few of these built. They're absolutely superb.
That's right. So this was a recent release. It wasn't a beta that arrived just last month from memory.
Yes, that's right.
Brand new. So very good. Excellent. So Jason is not in the cat. Is very interested in building the kit.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
That's quiet.
That's good.
Happy?
What have you got, Brett? You got another box?
I got another box to chew on.
That's smaller.
This is a little box.
What's in the little box?
Now, there's a little bit of exciting news this week. Well, not exciting, but I suppose it's always proud to announce that we've got a another long-term agreement, another yearly agreement with Kilo Off-Road Club in Victoria, being a sponsor and everything. So off-road's fantastic here in Victoria. Now, what I have got though is a new release from Sweep. Now, the Tendroid in itself isn't so much a new release, but this yellow compound and this version 2 insert is very new to us. So I don't know if we're going to get it on my dodgy little
I can see it.
Let me put
camera.
the larger screen. Here we go.
Yep.
So you can see there for an off-road tire, it doesn't actually have pins per se or large like spikes like most people would sort of think for off-road. Yeah, but this has been a really popular tire. It's been really fast on the oiled circuits, and not only is the tread pattern important when we're racing off-road, but also the compound. And I won't say it's as soft as an elastic band, but it's definitely a very, very soft compound or soft structure tire. So it's very soft, it's very malleable, and it's really cool. So yeah, that's the Sweep Tendroid in the yellow compound, which is extreme soft, the softest that they make. Perfect for the Victorian cold winters, I suppose, at this stage. Should we ever be allowed to go to the track?
Indeed. I guess what to say is the oil track that we have at Kilo reacts really well to very, very soft compounds. And so that's why this yellow compound is working really well.
And they use a closed cell insert, which I suppose is the norm now, but is actually like a memory foam or a closed cell foam. So it's more of a rubberized foam. They call it a foam insert, but it's really like in dirt bikes, I suppose we would call it a mousse. So it acts like air pressure within the tire. And when that's mounted up, not that this one here is glued, but it acts like air pressure within the tire, which does indeed push the rubber to the track. Because if anybody's driven a car with a flat tire or a push bike even, you know how unstable and how bad feeling it is. So they have that closed cell insert to offer stability and push the rubber into the track.
That's it.
So yeah, so that's a tire that I'd like to I suppose explore and announce that it's fantastic and new from Sweep. So that's really cool. That goes on with my 110 theme for the night.
That's it. And you've got a full car now.
Going back, I don't know, nearly a full car. Going back from our car of the night. Another important thing about a car of the night is it's not just a static model. Does anybody know what this might be?
A slot car.
It's not even a slot car.
What do you mean? What's that?
It's radio controlled, Beach.
No.
And not only is it radio controlled, it is 4-wheel drive. Can anybody see that?
MiniZ.
It is a Kyosho MiniZ. So that is a triple A powered shaft drive, 4-wheel drive, independent suspension, radio control car. Can anybody see that moving?
Wow.
And this side?
Oh yeah. Inboard
So
shop.
it has an inboard spring here, and a drive shaft, a tiny little dog bone in the front. And then it has four-wheel independent steering. So, sorry, four-wheel independent suspension.
Wow.
Steering servo. And this is designed primarily from Kyosho to be a drifter. So it has hard plastic or PVC tires. You can see the rear suspension working.
Yep. Yeah, it's nice.
And that is really cool.
And while you show that one,
what have you got?
Oh,
Oh my God. Is that a D1 drift car?
it is indeed. Let me see if we can put screen so we can all see. Okay, so what Brett had was definitely a brand new release. And so today we just received 4 different ones. So that's another one.
4 different ones we received today.
So
Perfect for lockdown or indoor events, because the dynamics are actually very much similar to our larger scale RC cars, and they're definitely.
They do indeed.
And if you run this around the kitchen beach, I'm sure the cat will be more than amused.
I'm sure. I would be too.
So there you go. That's the Dodge
version.
SRT Hellcat Destroyer Grey.
Destroyer Grey.
Absolutely.
So that is the sibling to the Sublime Green one that we had tonight as the car of the week. And you can see here that the impeccable detail and color coding that they put onto it. Now, being that the light buckets are actually clear and unfilled, so that means that you can buy a Kyosho LED upgrade kit, plug that straight into the receiver unit, and you've got front and rear lights, so headlights, brake lights. Yeah, really cool.
Brilliant. I
And
really like that one.
Unfortunately, young Tommy's not with us tonight, but he's actually done that to one of his Skylines. So we're happy with him. He can show us.
Wow.
And we have one more new. We've seen this before, actually. This is the Hilux. So this is still part of the MiniZ range. Hopefully you can see. Here we go. Of the MiniZ range, but it's a 4-wheel drive off-road scale crawler. So that was new from memory late last year or so. And they started with the normal Hilux, and now they've done I think they call it the surf version or so. There's got all the roof rack, different coloring.
It's got roof racks. It's got like a spare wheel thing. It's really scale, isn't it, Nick?
Absolutely.
Jacked up.
And the way these cars drive is so realistic that it's really unusual for such a small scale car. Normally they look very unreal, and they also, when you drive them, they feel really toyish, for say. But the MiniZ, no matter which model, they have quite a few different ones, front-wheel drive and four-wheel drive and so forth. They're so realistic. It feels really good. We're playing a few months back in a shop trying to get them to drift underneath their X-Max, and that was really good fun. They're so realistic. We will have to try to make some good videos of that eventually.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Good
and
fun.
Because I've taken the Dodge Hellcat out of the box, as you can see, I've actually got the stuff here to show people what else comes in the box.
Oh,
that's it.
So you can see here you get a quality two-channel radio, and it is Porsche branded, but I'm more than certain that it's actually KO brand, which, as everybody knows, is a fantastic Japanese brand and quality radio gear. So it actually has a really nice feel, and it's actually really, really good for any sort of ready-to-run car. Other things that come in the box, witches hats. So you can indeed make yourself a little makeshift race course or drift course, so be it. which is really cool. And in here they give a little bag of spare parts and gears. Now that is so
That's
that you can change the gearing and move the motor and that sort of thing to suit your track or your application.
That's it.
And last but not least is a more than comprehensive instruction manual. And like I said, with the independent suspension and the four-wheel drive, they are very much just like a competition 10 scale or 8 scale car, but just shrunk down to 127.5 scale. So you might need your tweezers and your small tools, but the design and the concept is still very much the same. Hence why they get such good performance and so much fun to drive and play with.
They definitely drive very well.
Absolutely. And yeah, the body detail obviously is so realistic as well, you know.
Yeah, and you can also add to it upon this. Like, I mean, we've got in store the very bespoke, and I think we might have featured it before, but the auto scale bodies, which are
That's right.
Which are bespoke model resin, you know, color coded and $300 body kits and wheel kits to suit on this very chassis. So you can get an exact replica of and highly detailed model of exactly the car of your dreams.
It looks like the RC Car Brothers want to know what was our first cars that we raced.
Ooh, that'd be a good question for the end of the show.
Well, the RC Car Brothers are very closely related to the Hearns family, and they're undertaking a project of ours. And I think I actually showed it on last week's show, didn't I? The BD10, right. That Aeromax TCR. Yeah, watch this space. There could be something happening there.
Well, I'm going to pop the link of the. Let me see if I can actually. This should be the link to their channels coming in a second. Let me find it. Because they recently started a new channel on YouTube, and let me pop it in the comments. I just found it now. So this link here that I'm putting up here should be going to their channel, hopefully. But if you Google the RC Car Brothers, they're pumping out a video every day from memory, and it's always very entertaining seeing see what they do, how they build their cars, and different tools.
Well, they're both so well accomplished, you know, 1/10 on-road drivers, highly regarded, highly respected people. You know, they've only very recently switched over to Yokomo and the Hearns family, and we're proud to have them. Yeah, they're fantastic value, really good people, always keen to help out. And during the current lockdown, they said, "Hey, what do we do? Well, we'll expose our hobby and some of our tips and tricks to the viewers and our fans." So,
no, it's great.
Yeah.
So,
what was your first race
car? What's your first car that you race?
My very first race car was in 1993. I had a hand-me-down, and it was old at the time, but original 80s Frog, and I turned up to a Tamiya Frog, and I turned up to one of our local tracks here in Melbourne, 1/10 off-road, Knox Car Club, Knox Off-Road Car Club. Yeah, and me and my older brother Richard, he actually run his original, I think it was an 870C dogfighter that he had from back in the day, chain drive dogfighter. And we turned up as newbies, as nobodies, and we just run and we had fun, and we were introduced to fabulous people and people that are still in our fabulous sport. We had Lewis Solar unbolted like tires from his Top Force at the time and put them and took my Hex wheels off because I had the factory, exactly what Marlon had before, those twin step pin funky tires. And he put on some 2.2-inch modern, you know, I want to say Proline tires of the time. put them on the back of my frog, and they were fantastic. And yeah, and people helped us out, and it's great. And the hobby for me and us has grown since 1993. So it was
Amazing.
a frog.
How good's that?
Yep.
Brilliant.
And a fortnight later, I turned up with a brand new competition buggy.
That's it. That's how it goes, isn't it?
Exactly.
What was
I
Nick's
was
first
racing,
car?
I'm trying to, I was racing a Serpent 1/10 on road, and then just trying to recall, I think it was an Impact or something like that. That was the name from memory.
Wow.
And was roughly in the mid 90s or so, something like late 90s or so.
So this was
There was
Nitro, was it, Nick?
there was sorry
Nitro.
yeah there was Nitro actually, Nitro on road, and so I did a bit of that.
Speed, yeah?
That's it.
Yeah.
And then I had for a little bit of time a 1.8 as well, but then all folded up, and I started racing back again when I moved to Australia, and I had a Hot Bodies D8 that I bought from Riper in Perth. So I guess the Serpent was effectively my first one actually.
Wow.
What a
Cool.
great way to start.
Well, my first car was a Yokomo Super Dogfighter.
Oh, this is
Wow.
It was
it.
actually from Hearns, which I had on lay-by because I was in high school at the time. I was saving all my pennies and stretched those 3 months out as you can, and grabbed that little box and took it home, and I was in ecstasy. It was great.
So
Brilliant.
what year would that have been, Beach? Would it have been like 90? I'm thinking 91 or something. Is that a?
No, but earlier, 87.
Oh, 87.
Yeah. So
So
91 would have been the Super Dogfighter Works 91.
Yeah.
And they had the Works 93. But this was the early version with the non-top deck.
Oh, sexy.
Yeah.
Good.
The carbon spine. I was like, oh, carbon fiber. There's a little piece of carbon fiber. I was so happy.
Wow. Martin, I don't think you ever raced, have you? But you did some RC cars in the past, did you?
No, I didn't. I haven't had experience with RC cars before this, but
All right.
Yeah. So I guess technically, though, I haven't raced. The first and only hobby grade RC car I've run so far on my own is the Hornet, and I thought that would be a good place to start because that was where a lot of, not for racing, but just to sort of get a feel for the hobby, because that's where so many people got to start with RC cars.
Yeah, it's good. No, definitely good start on it.
I'm just throwing it out there, but I think when we come out of this lockdown 6.0, I think that we should go to an open practice day as Hearns and all have a crack of the mighty E189 RS.
I agree.
Nice.
Get Marlon behind the transmitter. We'll get Tommy, Nick,
Everyone.
BJ.
Love it. Looking forward to it.
I agree. Let's do it. So
That's
hopefully
if
it's
it,
another week.
that's if it can survive the velodrome.
It will. I guarantee you that. Brilliant. Well, I think we've up to do the longest live ever. Really, we are an hour and a half. I think it's new record almost.
Good stuff.
So, all right. Let's see if there is any particular question. Otherwise, we may go for the weekend and get ready for next week. Hopefully, we can come back from the store next week. We are hoping that our lockdown is going to finish up by then. But if not, I guess we'll be back here. So if you are in store, it'll be 2 p.m. And if you are from home, we'll be, I guess, 8 p.m. again. So we'll still have a video going out every day. So there will be lots of content coming through. All kind of things, a few unboxing, few tutorials. The build of the Tamiya F4B will carry on.
Yep,
so
that's
episode number
today.
Yeah, there is one new one today. There'll be episode number 5, maybe next week, or 6 even. What number are we, Bij?
We're up to number 4 so far. So next week will be number 5.
5. Here we go.
Yeah.
So keep an eye on our social media, Facebook, Instagram. We'll keep you up to date, and feel free to comment. Let us know what you think, what you like to see, and hopefully we can be again live from the studio next week and organize the practice run for the velodrome.
For sure. Looking forward to that.
Absolutely. So thank you for everyone for joining us tonight, and enjoy the weekend.
Thanks
Thank
again,
you for
guys.
having me.
See you later.
All right, well,
Thank you.
good night. Bye bye.